Hey y'all, welcome as we continue through the book of Ecclesiastes with chapter 6 today. If you go to college or any type of schooling, really, you will learn that some teachers are well liked and others are not very well liked. The interesting thing is one teacher can be the most disliked and the most liked depending on who you ask. My son will tell me stories of his college experience and mention professors and will say things like, I heard he was a hard professor, but I really liked him. My son prefers professors that do challenge him, though. That's what he likes. He can roll with things as they come and enjoys figuring things out as they come.
I was the opposite. None of my professors liked me.
My daughter and Joe prefers professors who tell it to them straight so that they know what to expect.
Yeah, just give me the answer.
Yeah, that's Kara too. She likes to be given the facts and doesn't appreciate surprises. She doesn't like tension being stirred up. My son, however, prefers a little tension because he likes to be a part of solving the tension and figuring things out. How a professor or teacher is received really depends on the student. Paul is straightforward in his writing. If we want the straight up facts, we can go to Paul's books and find them. Solomon, however, stirs up the tension and says things that make you have to think and challenges us about what we believe and why we believe it. He doesn't present clean answers, but he does present things in a way that makes you really think about what you believe and why you believe it.
It makes me think of like one of those movies where it ends and you go, well, wait a minute, did it end this way or did it end this way? And some people like those. I don't. I like a nice, clean ending where people are happy at the end.
That's why you like Paul's writings,
Yes,
James' writings.
I do.
Truthfully, when we wrestle with ideas and values, the wrestling actually makes those values and ideas stronger in us. Jacob wrestled with Jesus, the angel of the Lord, and he was blessed because of it. Solomon struggled through the frustrations that we see in life, and he invites us to struggle through them with him. If we hang on and wrestle through it, we will walk forward with a strong heart of wisdom that can only come from God. Solomon wrestles through the fact that there is no ultimate meaning in life without an ultimate reference point through life. We can't have right and wrong, good and true, beautiful and wise, evil and ugly without a reference point. If we don't have something that surpasses the sun into the eternal to anchor to morally, life under the sun doesn't truly mean anything. Whether we are good or bad or rich or poor, nice or evil, none of it really matters if it all just disappears with death.
What if you're Norwegian?
Doesn't matter. It's unfortunate, but it doesn't matter. Again, that's an opinion. We need an ultimate anchor point in our lives if we are to have ultimate meaning in our lives. The ultimate anchor point we need is Jesus. We need to anchor our lives to Jesus. Solomon acknowledges that life is not fair here under the sun, and it can all be really, really frustrating. I'm thankful it's not fair, though, because if it were fair, Jesus wouldn't be able to take our sins on the cross for us. Because
No, you'd have to bear them ourselves. Yeah. I don't want that.
No, so I'm thankful that it's not fair under the sun, because Jesus took it all for us. Sometimes the good guys lose under the sun. Sometimes the bad guys win. Solomon wants us to face the reality of frustrations that came due to the fall of humankind to sin. When man and woman broke faith with God in Genesis 3, something also broke within us and something broke within the world. Paul confirms that creation is now subject to the frustrations of sin. When our foolish hearts went dark, everything broke within us and the world around us. There are rhythms set in God's creation because of the fall to sin. There is now also resistance to those rhythms. Now there is both rhythm and resistance. There's fruitfulness and frustration, thorns and thistles. Things no longer work together the way God originally designed them to because creation is broken by sin. Grains and fruits now get choked out by thistles and eaten by locusts and insects. We all know the truth of how hard and frustrating life can be personally. Many people go through life trying to find life hacks. They seek anything they can, trying to control and elevate themselves past all the frustrations of this fallen, broken world. As Solomon continues his analysis of life under the sun, he is continually finding the basic problem is that life confronts us with way too many mysteries that we cannot grasp and too many puzzles that we can't solve. Everything we try to grasp at to try to control and elevate ourselves past the frustrations is literally slapped out of our hands by the truths that Solomon keeps discovering about life under the sun. In doing so, Solomon keeps us from putting our hope in the temporary vain things of this temporary life that never truly lasts and can never truly satisfy us. For life to be truly satisfying, we want it to make sense. When it doesn't make sense, we get frustrated.
Yeah.
If people can't see a purpose in life, especially when going through extreme suffering, we start to question God and even wonder if life is worth it. In this chapter, Solomon will discuss 3 of life's mysteries: riches without enjoyment, work without satisfaction, and questions with no answers. We'll go ahead and start in verse 1.
There's another serious tragedy I have seen under the sun, and it weighs heavily on humanity. God gives some people great wealth and honor and everything they could ever want, but then he doesn't give them the chance to enjoy these things. They die, and someone else, even a stranger, ends up enjoying their wealth. This is meaningless, a sickening tragedy. A man might have 100 children and live to be very old, but if he finds no satisfaction in life and doesn't even get a decent burial, it would have been better for him to be born dead. His birth would have been meaningless, and he would have ended in darkness. He wouldn't even have had a name, and he would have never seen the sun or known of its existence. Yet he would have had more peace than in growing up to be an unhappy man. He might live 1,000 years twice over, but still not find contentment. And since he must die like everyone else, well, what's the use? That's pretty bleak. Better not to have been born at all. You live 2,000 years. Yikes.
Solomon continues his examination of wealth and riches from the previous chapter. He sees how tragic it is to have all the resources for a satisfying life, yet have no time or ability to truly enjoy those resources for one reason or another. Solomon realized that nobody can truly enjoy the gifts of God apart from the giver of those gifts, who is God. To enjoy the gifts without the giver is idolatry, and idolatry can never satisfy the human heart. Enjoyment without God is superficial entertainment. It doesn't satisfy. Enjoyment with God is enrichment, and it brings true joy and satisfaction to our human experience. Solomon encourages us to enjoy the blessings that God gives now and thank Him for every single one of them. Every good thing in life that we experience is a gift from God. Don't plan to live, start living. Be satisfied with what God gives and use it for His great glory. No matter how much we have, if we don't have the power or the ability to truly enjoy it, we may as well not have it. There are countless rich people who are truly poor in spirit in this world. Solomon examined the person who had riches, kids, and lived a long time, and he determined that if we don't figure out how to stop and enjoy life, there's really no point to any of it.
Yeah.
This person doesn't get to enjoy all that that person has. The problem that Solomon is wrestling through is not whether existence is better than non-existence, but rather whether or not there is any purpose behind the unbalanced scheme of the things of life. Solomon was working through the question of why someone would be given wealth and yet deprived of the power or ability to enjoy that wealth. Through this, Solomon learns that the ability to truly enjoy life comes from within. It's a matter of internal character, not circumstances. Solomon emphasizes that life without God is truly meaningless. The rich will only keep wanting more and never have enough, ultimately becoming dangerous to themselves as well as others. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Solomon encourages us to instead enjoy the moments that we are given by God as we are given them and be content with what He gives us. If we spend all our life trying to build our personal kingdoms, never enjoying the moments that we're in or the people that God put in front of us, we will waste the lives that God has given us.
Is that what they kind of mean by you can't have your cake and eat it too? I have never understood that saying. It's like, cake, eat it. What are we complaining about?
I don't know. We could wrestle through that statement for a while if you want to.
Hmm.
You should eat your cake.
Right.
I think that's what Solomon is saying.
What's the point of the cake
If
then?
you have the cake, you should eat it and enjoy it with the people around you.
Yeah. And is it that you're complaining that if you eat it, then you don't have cake anymore? Because I have felt like that before after I eat the cake. Like,
Then you
I
need
wish I
another
had more
cake.
cake.
Is that overindulgence, though? I mean, there is balance.
Can we go to Texas Roadhouse today and have cakes? Craving cake now.
You want Texas Roadhouse cake?
I don't know why that came to mind. Maybe because then I could have a steak too. But
Ooh, steak and cake.
apparently I'm hungry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Lunch is coming next, I guess, for you.
I'll get through it.
The point that Solomon is making.
Yeah, what is the point he's making here?
Cake is not guaranteed. Just kidding. No. The point he's making is tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
These are our lives in this temporary world, and we only have now to live them while we are here. So we need to enjoy and be grateful to God every day that he gives us while we are here. In a commonly misquoted scripture, Philippians 4:11-13, Paul learns that he can be content no matter what the state of life he is in because of Jesus. Whether he has little or a lot, he has learned to be content in life. He can do all things through Christ who strengthens him because his focus is on Jesus. He is anchored to Jesus. It doesn't matter if he has a little or a lot.
And I would say he's qualified to make that statement after some of the things that he went through.
Yeah, he did have a little or a lot through different experiences of life.
Yeah.
Paul is teaching us that because of Jesus, we can make it through anything in this temporary world. The Greek word used for content in the scripture is autarxis, and it means self-contained, adequate, needing nothing from the outside. Paul learned and teaches us that we have all that we need within us to face life in all its difficulties courageously, all because of Jesus and his power and peace within us. And we'll continue in verse 7.
All people spend their lives scratching for food, but they never seem to have enough. So are wise people really better off than fools? Do poor people gain anything by being wise and knowing how to act in front of others? Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind.
Solomon examined the rich person, and now he moves to examine the poor. Rich and poor alike work to stay alive. We either have to grow our food or make money to buy food in order to live. The rich person can let their money work for them, but the poor person has to use their muscles if they are going to eat. Solomon realized after all their work, their appetite for satisfaction in life is still not satisfied. Solomon contemplated the point of working to eat to add years to your life if we aren't going to add any years to our lives. The rich hoard money and never enjoy it, while the poor chase money and never get it. Both are driven by an appetite for a thing that can never truly get them what they truly want: freedom from the frictions of this life. The truth is, wealth cannot and will not save us from the frustrations to from the fall of sin. Only Jesus can save us and help us through those frustrations.
And do you think comparisons kind of come into there too, like seeing what the neighbors have or don't have,
Yes.
and that whole game?
Yes, he's definitely touching on covetousness and how it destroys us. It is like a choke, a noose that chokes us out. Really,
Yeah.
It really is. We need to be grateful every day for what God has given us and appreciate everything.
breathing.
Yeah, like breathing. Every breath is a breath from God within
Having
us.
running water in a house.
A lot of people don't have that, so we should be grateful for that. And a lot of people take that for granted. Like it's an entitlement. Like we are entitled to water. No, we're not. There's a lot of people that go to a stream to get their water every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
we are very privileged and we need to be grateful. If all we're doing is working and eating, then we are being controlled by our appetites, which puts us on the same level as animals. There's a huge difference between truly living life and merely existing. When we are fulfilling the purposes of our Creator that He has instilled within us, we will find fulfillment in this life. We who are made in the very image of God are called to live for something higher and greater than mere existence. If all we do is live to satisfy our appetites, then the wise person has no advantage over the fool, and the poor person has no advantage in trying to better their situations. Solomon points out that these are things in and of themselves that can't make life more fulfilling. We need something bigger than these things to live for. Today, we can send messages around the world in mere seconds, but do we have anything significant to say? We can transmit pictures from the moon, but our TV screens are stained with sin and violence.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon concludes it is better to have little and truly enjoy it than to dream about a ton of things and never attain them. Dreams have a way of becoming nightmares if we don't come to grips with reality. We need to be careful that our ambitions in life are motivated by the glory of God and not selfish pride and praise of others. We will find life most fulfilling when we live to serve others rather than trying to promote ourselves. Our achievements in this life will not bring true satisfaction. True satisfaction comes when we live out the will of God from our hearts. When our hearts love what our minds know is true in and of Jesus, that is when we will find true joy. In the will of God, we will find true riches and enjoyment. In the will of God, we will find satisfaction in our work because it's driven by purpose, eternal purpose for God's kingdom.
Yeah.
To truly enjoy life under the sun, we need to surrender to Jesus. We need to accept his will and his plan for our lives, and we need to receive his gifts gratefully and enjoy each day as he enables us to. We need to be content with what we have and live fully in gratitude to the glory of God. And we will continue in verse 10.
Everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use arguing with God about your destiny. The more words you speak, the less they mean. So what good are they? In the few days of our meaningless lives, who knows how our days can best be spent? Our lives are like a shadow. Who can tell what will happen on this earth after we are gone?
So far, Solomon has determined that life is a dead-end street for those who have riches but no enjoyment and those who work hard and find no satisfaction. He has concluded that true happiness isn't an automatic result of making a good living. True happiness is really a byproduct of making a good life according to God's divine direction. If we devote ourselves to pursuing happiness, we're going to be miserable. However, if we devote our lives to doing God's will, we will find joy as well. In Jesus, we have mission and purpose, love that never ends, and a living hope that never fades. In these verses through chapter 11, verse 6, Solomon shows that every human aspiration for wisdom lacks ultimate value and reminds us of the limits of human wisdom. Even if we watch all the TikTok, reels, and life hacks possible, we will discover that there are limits to wisdom. Life under the sun still has frustrations, regardless of the amount of wisdom we try to gather up. Our wisdom cannot and will not save us from the frustrations of the fall.
Yeah.
God's intentions always come to fruition, regardless of us. Everything that comes to pass has been allowed and designed by God, and we don't know God's plan fully. Therefore, we cannot ever know or assume what is going to happen next. Solomon examined the person who requires answers to all of life's questions and determines that this too is a dead-end street. There are some questions in life that we will not have the answers to.
Yeah.
We don't live on God's explanations. We are to live on God's promises and trust him in and through and for all things. Trust him with every outcome. Most explanations that we do get in life don't solve any problems or make us feel any better. An explanation to a diagnosis may lead us in the right direction for healing, but it doesn't take away the sickness. Wisdom has value, but it has limits. When you get an x-ray and find out that your arm is broken, the x-ray doesn't solve the broken arm.
Right.
When Job was suffering, he kept arguing with God and demanded an explanation. God actually never did answer his question,
No.
but he did increase Job's faith in the process. Knowledge in the mind doesn't bring healing to the heart. Healing to our hearts only comes when we put our faith in the promise of God and who he is. Without going into extreme detail in these verses, Solomon touched on why we bother to make decisions at all if it's going to be what it will be.
That's the part where I kind of struggle right away when you read this. Everything's already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use arguing about your destiny. It's, well, then it almost makes it sound like, well, we don't have a free will, but we do.
But we
It's
do.
completely that we have
Yes.
a free will.
complete free will.
Yeah.
Yes, that's God's amazingness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to the Jewish mind, giving a name to something is the same as fixing its character and stating what it really is. God named things that he made, like light and darkness, day and night, and Adam named Eve and all the animals. Those names have not changed. The names are the essence of what the Adam is. Humankind is still humankind, no matter what we try to do, or if we try to change it, we simply can't. God is sovereignly, he is sovereignly decreed the nature and the essence of everything that exists. But we make our plans, we plan things and we actively do things, hopefully for God's glory, and we do things that want to please God. And then as we do those things, God sovereignly arranges the outcomes and directs the ship. Because God can move and steer a moving car, but if you're just sitting idle, it's harder to steer that car. Like a ship, you can move it and steer it when it's moving, but if it's not going anywhere, then it's harder to steer and move. So that's kind of how.
For some of us older people
that
have vehicles that don't have power steering, we know all about this and how it's easier to steer a vehicle when it's moving versus when it's sitting still.
I know a lot of people struggle with sovereignty, so I don't know if that kind of helps. Like, we still make our decisions and plans, but God sovereignly arranges the outcomes.
His ultimate plans.
Yeah,
he's got the best plans laid out for us.
Yes.
We have to choose to take it.
Yeah, exactly. And he wants the best for us.
Yeah.
He wants better than we could imagine. Mm-hmm. Like, he literally sent Jesus to die for us. Clearly, he wants good things for our lives. So we can trust him and his goodness.
It's not a trap.
It's not a trap. It is foolish to try to argue with God about what he has decreed. He is God and we are not, and he knows what is best. We don't know what's best for us, but God does. God knows the future. He has been in every tomorrow, and he knows what is best in that future that is coming. We are ignorant of our place in God's all-inclusive plan, regardless of how many self-help books we try to read.
You're telling me my heart doesn't know what's best for me?
No, your heart is not a
sometimes
computer.
Lies.
Yes. No matter how hard we try to control life, life will never fit in our boxes. Our place is to trust God and let him run his world how he knows best to run it. God can and does accomplish his divine purposes with or without our cooperation, but he invites us to work with him and receive his blessings in the process. If we refuse God, it is simply us who misses out on the blessings he intended for our lives.
Yep.
He intends for our lives to have blessings and good things in it. He wants good things for us. Sin is sin. Obedience is obedience, and truth is truth. If we try to change any of these things, we will live in a world of illusion, and we're going to lose touch with reality. We have freedom to decide and choose the world we live in, but we are not free to change the consequences of the choices we make.
Yep.
If we choose a world of illusion, we will live on substance with no true satisfaction. We can't oppose God and win in anything. Even if we think we are winning in selfish living, we are really losing, and that loss will last forever. God's will is not difficult or painful. Jesus assures us in John 4:32-34 that God's will is nourishing and satisfying for every part of our human existence. God loves us so much, again, that he sent Jesus to die in our places. His will comes with blessing and eternal glory. The will of God comes from the heart of God, and God's heart is overwhelmingly so full of love for us, more love than we can humanly comprehend.
Yeah.
God's will is the best for us, and it brings us to our best in him. He knows way more about us than we do. He created every part of our being with purpose and delicacy. We can trust our amazing Father with every detail. Insisting on having our own way isn't true freedom. It will actually lead us to the worst kind of bondage. God invites us to choose him and his goodness, but if we refuse, he will let us have our way. Our greatest freedom comes when we are lovingly lost in full surrender to the will of God. Our Father invites us to trust him and love him. He doesn't feel threatened when we question him, debate with him, or even wrestle with him. He invites us to do so. His desire is that we will ultimately seek him and find him and love him with all of our guts. He sent Jesus, proving both his love and his will for us, which is for us to be as close to him as possible, closer than ever before. We need to seek God, his word, and his wisdom. He promises us that those who truly seek him will find him. If you think about it, like sin separated us from God's presence.
Yep.
And God has always, he desires to be present with us. Like that's why he sent his spirit to literally be present with us in every living, breathing moment of life. And before Jesus, there was that gap, there was that separation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus broke into the world as a humble baby. And he was literally coddled and held, like God was held close. And
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
he wants. He wants to hold us, he wants us to let him hold us close. God knows what is good for us, and he always has our eternal best in mind. And then I'm going to break out and tell another story here. The horse story. Remember the horse story? There was a pastor that told a story about, there was like, people think that they're free when they can do whatever they want and just go wherever they want, instead of living according to God's design. Instead of surrendering to God, they just want to do what they want and live however they want. And there was a horse that broke free, and he was like roaming free, but then all of a sudden he was being attacked by cougars and bears, and like things were trying to attack him in the wilderness, and he had to run and always be on guard for his life, and he had to always watch every corner, and he was always like on edge because there was always an attack coming. And then there was bad weather and he had no shelter, so he was getting pounded by hail and rainstorms and all the things, and he had to search for his own food, and food was hard to find. So this horse was miserable, and cowboys kept trying to wrangle up this horse, so he also had to run away from these men with ropes who were trying to catch him. And so this horse was miserable, and one day this farmer finally caught this horse and brought it into his stables. And for the first time in a long time, the horse had unlimited food and treats and apples and sugar cubes. The horse had shelter from the storms. The horse could rest knowing it was safe in the arms of its caregiver. And it learned to love and appreciate the care of this farmer. And that's kind of like how Jesus wants us to see him too. Like when we try to do it our own way, we're going to suffer and struggle, and we're not thriving. But if we just surrender to his love and care and provision and his will, then we will have care and peace and rest and safety in him. Doesn't mean life won't be hard, but it means that we can rest in him, knowing that he's going through the hard with us, and he is going to bring us through it. He will bring us through, and he'll increase our faith and strength in the process as well.
Yep.
So
yep. It's all about him being there with us. Like we'd have to, in the morning, we'd have to go out to the barn and do chores. And in the winters, it was dark, and there'd be certain areas in the barn that would be completely dark until you could get to that light switch to turn it on. It was better to get up a little bit earlier and go with Dad at the same time. Still just as dark. You have to get up earlier, but still just as dark. And you're walking down the same hallway that's just as dark, but it's different when you know, your dad's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your story's better.
So we need to seek God, his word, and his wisdom. That's the
Yeah.
point. We need to surrender to his will. This is God's world, created to be ran God's way, and he has good things in mind for us. We need to trust him. He promised us that those who truly seek him will find him, and God does know what is good for us. He always has our eternal best in mind, as well as the eternal best of those around us. A wise person takes the time to listen to what God says and do as he directs. Life might seem like a soap bubble, a vapor, or shadow, but when we surrender to Jesus and follow the will of God, we will abide with him forever, which 1 John 2:17 promises us. We may not know what is coming next, but God does. He's been in every tomorrow. He sees from the top down and all around. He knows, he hears, he sees. God gives us enough information to encourage us right when we need it most, but he doesn't cater to selfish or idle curiosity. Who we choose to serve and surrender to here will determine our eternity. Solomon encourages us to make the most of every opportunity under the sun. Life can be monotonous and empty, but it doesn't have to be. If we choose Jesus and surrender every single detail of life to him, following his lead, life can and will be fulfilling and satisfying. Life is God's gift to us. It's up to us to receive it and enjoy it while we can, all for God's great glory. True joy is found when we fear God, which means we fear being separated from him.
Yep,
and we seek to please him through every detail of life. That should be our passion. We need to be desperate for Jesus every day and fear anything that could potentially separate us from his presence. That's what a proper fear of God is.
Mm. Yep.
And that is where we will stop for today. We hope y'all are having a glorious day in the Lord.